Acqua te pepino. Deny. Okay. Actually, before I play, let's check out what's going on Discord. Tech support, Dave. I finally played the game. I'd say decent, but not really Mike because I was hacking. Eyes watering due to hay fever. Please ward me. Oh. Okay. Random people talking are scrolling on shorts. I got good KD that game. Was kind of lockout game. I was like keyboard warrior but farmed the diamonds. What? Oh my god. This is just hilarious. Amazing. Why is this? When was that? 2204. 22. That was the last month, no? No, that was way. Oh no, wait. Hey, that was on an old message. Hey, remember how you kind of taught me the word Uber? Yeah, thanks. What? No, the fuck? Okay. What the hell am I seeing here? I'm not even allowed to show that. Wait. What the hell? Okay. Nothing here. Actually, let's see. Is anyone talking about the replay system? Usually there's no point. Really nothing interesting going on. I wonder if where's Charlatan's YouTube videos? Oh, shorts. Shorts content. It was the Yoru. Was it here? How do I change the layout? Here. Gallery. This is so much better. Those channels, I want to see. Where is it? What review me? Do I have this one? I do have this one visible, but I want play of the day, guess my rank. I think I want to guess my rank. And it was this? No. Which one was it? Why is like half of these like fucking Ascent? Is that Ascent? Oh my god. Okay, like there's no point. Like I'm not gonna find it, am I? But just type Yoru. Yoru 4K on Ascent. Is this the clip? This is the clip. Yeah, this is the clip. So it's an old video he reviewed. It's an old video he reviewed. It's not a recent one. Can I make a suggestion? Do I have any good suggestions? Like, I hate that, like, because I'm autistic or something, I actually don't joke around. I don't joke around. Like, I don't joke around. These are not jokes. Guide on how to D-rank, how to get bitches in Valorant. Like, these are not jokes. These are serious questions. Like, okay. I will now. Please vote me. Please vote me. Please. Like, I just don't want to see the dumb shit, but like, whatever, dude. Let me hide all this shit. He's not even like cropping it for me. I'm guessing this is one entire VOD. It's just one game. Let's see. Oh, it's Haven after. Bro. He's scrolling YouTube shorts. In a deathmatch. Bro. This is brain rot. There's no discipline here. Bro, why? I'm actually triggered. I'm actually triggered. I'm actually triggered. Oh my god. Okay. Please show me. Why are we rushing? Iron Gun Buddy goes hard though. With that skin. Oh my god. Why are we AFK? Why is the overlay overlapping with the Ascendant? Okay, no. I'll just keep moving. Like, like you have to keep scaling in a deathmatch. You don't want to rush, but you don't want to waste time just holding an angle. But here you're just rushing. Here you're just rushing non-stop. Like, no. Like, nice aim, but... No. Here you're just shooting before actually like micro adjusting. Like, I have shit aim, so I probably don't hit any of these shots, but what I also don't do is this. I wish this was on YouTube, actually, because I don't know how to skip frame by frame. How to skip frame by frame. To skip frame by... I'm on a new keyboard layout, so I'm a bit slow on the typing. Skip frame is something you can do on Switch. First, skip frame. No, skip frames when watching. Frame by frame controls. Is there enough resolution? Space bar is possible, and our slow motion speed up. I'm looking at navigate. One frame. What's this guy doing? Where's my charger? Charger. Why is it always up here? You have your Valorant, you set raw axle up the right way. You have your Valorant sense? I mean, maybe. But have your Valorant sense? That's so funny. I made a tip of my joystick post and it got viewed by so many people, but no one fucking bothers trying to guess. Like, bro. Like, what is the point of the tip of my joystick subreddit if people aren't gonna try and guess which game you're trying to, like, find? Like, bro. I had one guess. 500 views and one guess. Like, they're not bots, for sure. Like, there's probably no bots. Like, not that many bots on... Okay, I have my mic muted. You don't know where the enemy is, and you're pre-aiming with the assumption that you know where the enemy is. Like, no. Cursor placement should show intent, obviously. Yours does show that. But it should not show intent when you don't know if the enemy isn't going to be in an angle that you're skipping over. And here you're skipping over mound in entirety. So what you should be doing here is you should take a pause, because again, you're rushing. You're rushing this deathmatch for whatever reason. You need to be more patient. This is not how you develop good technique, and it is not how you make Valorant fights easier. This is how you make Valorant fights harder, because you're playing sped up, you're playing quickly, and the enemy doesn't necessarily play quickly, right? And you're just giving yourself no time here. You're giving yourself no time. You're giving the enemy, like, you're giving the enemy the opportunity to, like, swing you from different angles. And what you're doing is you're taking a shot instead of flicking while moving, so that you remain a moving target, a moving difficult target to shoot. And then once you start moving, and once your crosshair is in the general direction of the enemy, you micro adjust onto the enemy. That is correct technique in this kind of situation, if you get thrown off. Yes, even some professional players will just stand still and flick and try to get the flick in this kind of situation. But you're not playing versus professional players the vast majority of the time. So you strafing here is going to be the better option. You're not instantly dead in a lot of these scenarios where, like, you get surprised if you utilize correct technique and you actually move instead of just panic flicking onto the enemy when you get surprised. If you're using OBS, maybe set your preset, your GPU or CPU preset in the encoder settings to fast. If you haven't already. Fast or balanced. It's usually going to be better, because when you're moving, it gets really blurry. So you probably have it set to, like, a slower configuration. And I would not be tapping crouch that little. Like, it's good that you are tapping crouch, but you need to slow down. You need to actually prepare when you're peeking the angle. Like... There's no like intentional slicing the pie. There's no intentional isolation of angles either. Like here, can I slow it down? Yeah, I can. Look, like you instantly peek into this guy, and you're not aiming at him because you're not isolating your angles. In these kinds of angles, you need to slice it at least in 2 pieces. At least in 2 pieces. Good players will do it in 3 pieces, sometimes, depending on the angle. But with this kind of narrow angle, where it's just like a rectangle, with like, you know, a bit of leeway as to where the enemy could be, you need to slice it in half. Another good example would be, let me just recollect where would the example be. Where was the example? I mean, oh yeah, here. Ascent. When you're peeking into CT, you need to slice this angle. First by pre-aiming this angle, and then second by pre-aiming this angle. Right? As you're peeking this. You don't want to swing into 2 angles at once, because in this case, in this scenario, what you're actually doing is swinging into multiple angles at once. You're swinging into this angle as well. You're swinging into this angle, or anywhere here roughly. This off angle here could be on the wall in rare cases, or even close. Maybe you could be swinging into someone close here, right? And it just makes it easier for them to swing you and kill you because you're pre-aimed for this general angle here instead of isolating the angles. There was actually a better example. I'm just not sure where it was. Was it showers? No, I mean, all of these are good examples, but it's not the perfect example that I wanted to show. Another example is here. You want to pre-aim this, then you want to pre-aim this, isolating each angle one by one. This is 3 angles, essentially, that you have to, like, isolate and, like, stop at each time, pretty much. There really was a better example. Where, though? Where was the example? Where was it? Split, maybe? Was it split? I mean, on split as well, right? If you're bottom mid. Here and here. But no, there was something else. Maybe it wasn't on split. Maybe it was on sunset? No, not sunset. Lotus, maybe? I mean, Lotus too. Like, if you're pushing this, you need to isolate this angle, right? And this angle. Obviously, there's all these irrelevant angles here as well that the enemy's gonna be in. Or could be in. So you do have to, like, actually watch out and isolate them one by one. You cannot just swing with the okay crosshair placement, but with no real intent beyond the actual, like, crosshair placement. Like, you need to stop on each angle. Unless you have, like, no time. If you have no time, yeah, obviously trace your angles. Swing into multiple angles just to save time, like if you're low on time. But where was it? Where was the angle? Where was the example? Hold on. Abyss? No. Not Abyss. Not Ascent. Although Ascent has some good ones. Bind? Not Bind. Breeze? No, not Breeze. Corrode? Not Corrode. Corrode is a new map. Fracture? No, not Fracture either. Haven? No, not Haven. There was a really good example, but I can't recall it. Icebox? No. I mean, Icebox too, technically. If you're here. There's obviously this angle to worry about. Roughly this angle, like the enemy could be here, 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 right? So you have to kind of slice each of these. ideally with a crouch, because if an enemy is gonna be here, right, they're naturally gonna be pre-aiming this, right? You, in other words. In some cases, they might be pre-aiming here, but what's more likely to happen here? In like this angle here. But usually when you're peeking this, you're going to be the one getting pre-aimed, not your teammates if you're peeking from garage. So you need to peek this with a crouch as well. With a deeper crouch, not what you're doing with the very brief taps, because those brief taps don't actually do much. You want to displace your head so that it is displaced by at least the height of your head, if that makes sense. Like, your head needs to go below, roughly below your chin. Your chin in standing position, right? When you're crouching. And that is usually a slightly more than just a regular crouch, no, like tap of a crouch button. Pearl. No. Wasn't Pearl. Wasn't Lotus, wasn't Split. Oh, where? That's crazy that I cannot recall this, because it's such a good example. Oh my god. That was such a good example, and I forgot it. Okay, well, coming back. What map was it? Oh no, it was Deathmatch. Okay. Well, yeah, you need to isolate those angles. Like, actually slow the fuck down. Like, you're just, like, why? Like, why are you rushing? Like, if you have conditioned yourself, because I think you do have a bit more playtime in this game than most players. If you've conditioned yourself so hard of being in this fucking terrible habit of just rushing in your deathmatches, go into custom games. I know it's fucking boring, but if you want to improve, you need to be willing to use custom games if your bad habits are so prevalent that you cannot overcome them, or you don't feel like overcoming them, right? If you don't have the willingness to overcome your bad habits by actually trying to, like, slow the fuck down every single time, consciously, actively, then you need to go into custom games. You need to actually focus on your personal movement, angle clearing, how you navigate each map, without all these other distractions of enemy players. Because, yeah, like, all I'm seeing you doing is just rushing through each angle here. Like, you know, nice movement, nice aim, but there's no real technique. Like, I'm not seeing you apply conscious technique, pretty much. Like, here, for example, why would we rush that? Why would we rush that? Like, where was it? Yeah, here. Like, yeah, you heard him. Yeah, maybe you definitely heard him, but how, like, why are you assuming that you're gonna be on target here? Like, you're not gonna be on target. Like, don't have this kind of natural assumption that, oh, you're gonna flick and then you're just gonna kill them. Like, no. When you're doing these kinds of flicks and you get surprised by an enemy from behind or from the side or whatever, yes, flick, but at the same time, your main objective, and, like, alarm bells should not be ringing in your head at this moment in time to shoot. Alarm bells, the alarm bells that should be ringing in your head are to move, to get back into cover, to maintain your, like, movement perpendicular. I think it's called perpendicular. Perpendicular. Yeah, you need to maintain movement perpendicular to the threat. So you need to be moving left or right to the enemy. I think I do have a tool here. Miscellaneous? No, Epic Pen. There we go. Epic Pen. I wonder if it's gonna render. Let's see if it renders the stream. It renders. Yay! Happy days. The number one protocol in these kinds of situations where you just get thrown off guard is how do I have no idea how to use this. Where's, like, a pen option? Is this it? Once you spot the enemy, once you spot this enemy, or once you identify that there's an enemy here, off of reflex, you should not be shooting. No insta shoot, strafe. Instead, you need to strafe in the left or the right, depending on whether you want to play around the cover, or if you want to try commit to the fight, or if you're trying to like isolate the enemy from like another enemy or something like that, right? But you know, in this situation, yeah, you can just totally go back into cover. Strafe. So now, once you get this protocol down in your games, it is going to be much easier after that to decide whether you would want to strafe to the left or whether you would want to strafe to the right. Because once you're strafing, you're going to notice that, oh, I probably should have played around this cover here, right? Maybe you would have wanted to play around this cover here instead of exposing yourself to all of these angles, right? So yeah, moving on. Shit. It's slow motion. Can I fix it? Shit, I didn't mean to do that. Why is it not working now? Oh, it's working. This is the start of the games. It's a bit later. Was this it? Yeah. This is where, yeah, this is where you die. Like you're just not ready. You're not ready. You're not remaining like a moving target when you should. You're just shooting, because when you take a shot, you're gonna be more inaccurate on your second shot, on your third shot. In Valorant, this kind of RNG is fucking annoying to deal with. So that's why pro players like Primi, they will burst 2 bullets on average, 3 bullets on average. You know, very close range, they might spray a bit more, but long range, they will pretty much always tap. They will pretty much always tap their gun, right? Or at least on average, right? Sometimes they're gonna fire 2 bullets for like the shortest burst possible, right? But usually it's gonna be taps. It's gonna be controlled, slow fire taps at longer range, because the RNG in Valorant is fucking annoying. That's literally the reason. Like, there's so much RNG. You're just rushing. Like here, like this is just another example. Here, that's probably the most visible example of you actually getting punished for rushing and swinging past all the angle threats. I'm stopping here 10 out of 10 times. I'm stopping on this on angle here. Always. Angle number 1. Threat. It's a threat. But then you don't stop. You just swing past it. You just swing past the threat. Like, take a fucking breather, dude. You have 5 minutes on the clock. Relax. Like, if you're trying to win the deathmatch, then the timer is something you're going to be paying attention to, right? Because you want to kill the enemies before the timer runs out and before anyone else gets all the kills to 40. But you have 5 minutes on the clock. You're going to pull up the minimap now, the scoreboard now, or not? Interesting. Maybe now after you die. Let's see. You're not pulling up the scoreboard. Interesting. I totally expected that from you. For you to be like just non-stop pulling up the scoreboard. Okay, so that's pretty good. But you're not. Although you can see at the top the progress. Kinda. Yeah, now you're pulling it up. So you do pull it up. Like, oh my god, dude. Relax. Like, okay, so what Primi does in this situation is he doesn't waste time here. Primi goes back onto the waterfall area and he fights any enemies that might be holes or waterfall or even seaside. So his playbook for deathmatch is very, very fucking simple because it's a fucking deathmatch. All he does is maximize his engagements without wasting time just holding pointless angles. You don't need to hold this angle at the moment because there are going to be other threats closer to you that are going to be more immediate. Way more immediate. This spawn, this spawn, this spawn, right? And then the most immediate threat towards Mound is going to be here, right? If you're playing like Primi in deathmatch, you should totally see, and just kind of going back and forth between kind of from this point, roughly this, so like roughly this area here to roughly this area here. He doesn't really overswing into this threat here because this is just not an immediate threat in the slightest. He usually wants to get peeked here because this is also a much more common angle that you're going to see in competitive. When you're defending seaside, if you have no idea what to do, this kind of peek is completely valid because if any enemies route this way, they are looking for a fight, right? And guess what? If any enemies fight this way, they are exposing themselves. If any enemies route this way, they are exposing themselves to one threat angle, right? Like top side. Second threat angle, technically, right? Because if you do it further and you crouch, it's gonna be pretty uneven, right? It's gonna be a different elevation, right? If one enemy is standing here, or even like here, compared to like crouched here, and also, yeah, the bottom level as well, where you're standing right now. So that's 3 different elevations technically that the enemy has to worry about, and that's what makes this peak here really good, or this hold really good, is the enemy will probably not naturally cross their place on you here. So this kind of peak is completely valid to do if you're trying to take a pick, if you don't really know what to do, if, I don't know, if it doesn't sound like there's that many enemies here, maybe it's just one enemy kind of making noise, then yeah, like, take this fight. It's an okay fight to take. Like, Primi does not really lose this fight, like, ever in his death matches. Not because like the enemy is bad necessarily, but because the fight is good. And like, see, you almost died to this Yoru because you're focused on like the pointless far away fight that's just not really gonna happen. And if it happens, you're at a disadvantage instead because you're now in a position where it's just an on-angle. Like, yes, these ideas apply to a deathmatch as well. You don't want to put yourself in shit positions. Remy does not put himself in shit positions unless he's trolling, and he doesn't usually troll in his deathmatches. His goal is to warm up. His goal is to train. His goal is to, like, do something useful with this time instead of like doing this shit, like whatever this is. And like, this is 1-to-1. Now you're playing 1-to-1. Now you're playing like Primi. At this moment in time, now you're not playing like Primi. Now you're peeking into all these multiple elevations. You should have not gotten that kill. You should have not gotten this kill here because this Cypher is abusing elevation and he has the advantage because there's only one way for you to peek. Cross replacing you is very easy. So you swinging this is a mistake. It's a micro mistake. Good aim, but you shouldn't be swinging this like that. It's just not good. And it's not going to be authentic to how you're going to be playing in your competitive games. Because if you're swinging this, and the enemy could be in 50 fucking angles, right? the enemy could be here, 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 far away, right? With like a sniper. The enemy could be here. The enemy could be here. The enemy could be head glitching you here. Instead of being all the way on top of the mound, the enemy could be head glitching you behind the mound. And that's going to be really difficult to kill them. This spot here is going to be really fucking difficult to actually kill the enemy from. And the enemy has the cover advantage on you. So you overswinging this is not that good, even in a deathmatch. If you're warming up, sure, whatever. But why not actually apply the good habits, the good passive habits, so that, you know, like, even if it's in a deathmatch, it's going to translate into your competitive games. If you're conscious of these ideas, of isolating your angles one by one, actually making sure that you don't overswing into multiple angle threats, right? Even if you slice the pie here, you're still at a disadvantage in this particular situation because the enemy has all these spots they can play from, right? You know, not this in a deathmatch, but in competitive, yes, this could also be a threat. In competitive, you should have a one-way here on this spot, right? You should be calling for a one-way. Without the one-way, your team is trolling. If the enemies are pushing and you don't have a one-way here, and you're trying to fight the enemies off somehow, then, you know, like, you're fucked. You're dead. So this is the only situation where you'd be going wide or pushing up, right? Or, you know, maintaining control of mound by being actually in this area, right? Or if your teammates are pushing from flank, then you do want to stall the enemy, distract them, whatever, right? There's a few niche situations, but yeah. Even in a deathmatch, you need to be aware of these ideas so that they translate into your competitive games. Because if you play 20 hours of a deathmatch per act, which you should be, you need to be doing effective practice. You need to be actually paying attention so that you are applying these fundamental ideas of not swinging into 50 angle threats, that you're actually being smart even in your deathmatches so that you can be smart in your competitive games. But this here, you know, completely fine again. That was fine. Yes, you lost the fight, but that was a good fight to take. It was a very good controlled fight. Here, no follow-up technique. So in a prolonged fight like that, you don't just want to keep swinging the same way every time. What you did there was you just swung the same way, and you made it really easy for the Phoenix to shoot you. That Phoenix is bad, so he didn't kill you. But if that Phoenix was good, he would have killed you like 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10. Definitely around 8 times out of 10, because all you did was swing him the same exact way every time. Guess what? You have multiple ways to peek even these simple angles. You can take a step back, reposition, maybe up on top of root, right? Even if you just take a step back, you still have the advantage because now you're giving yourself the angles advantage. Whereas the Phoenix actually has to overswing and aim more actively onto you than you have to aim actively onto him, because you have the angles advantage. He doesn't know whether you're going to go wide on him or if you're going to go tuck a bit more, right? And also, if you use the elevation, you're also going to have the advantage in this situation, especially because of the angles advantage. It's going to be much easier for you to kill him this way. But that's just one alternative. Another alternative, after you take this very basic fight against him, why not tuck and then get close to the angle and then swing him really close? Just Ferrari peek him. Have you ever Ferrari peeked an enemy like that? Because this is what it's called a follow-up in an engagement. It's kind of like a combo in like Street Fighter. Your initial fight move is a basic swing. That's okay. Maybe a crouch peek. Maybe you want to peek this with a crouch. Did you peek this with a crouch? Let's see. Do you peek this with a crouch? You have no input overlay. Why don't you have an input overlay? Has Block Switch not told you to have an overlay? for your inputs. But no, it doesn't seem like he crouched. It does not seem like he crouched. But okay, next thing. Third protocol for you to pay attention to is your follow-up. How do you want to re-engage the fight so that you have an additional advantage? Because the enemy would never expect you to Ferrari peek them. Ever. And this is going to be very unorthodox from the enemy's perspective, because they will only expect you to reswing them the same way. But they will not expect you to swing them wide from close. So you're really going to be forcing the enemy to aim in this situation, and you're going to be throwing off their cursor placement in the process. Also, from that position, it's just easier to kill them. Especially if you have good aim. Like, if you have good aim, you need to have good movement, and you need to have good technique in your fights so that your follow-up will actually be more effective. Just doing this, swinging left and right, like a bot. You're a bot. You are a bot in this situation. If you're just swinging left and right, that is very predictable. This guy can also be a bot in this case, and he can just abuse the cover. He can abuse the cover on you here, because while you have the angles advantage, you're also moving predictably, and if he's good, he also recognizes that, and he just one-taps you on a timing, because he knows you're probably going to peak roughly at a intuitive timing for him. And just to confirm that I'm right, I will just replay it one more time to see. Yeah, just very standard aggressive swing from you. You retreat for a second, but otherwise it's a very predictable timing for you to peek at. And he's retreating too. He's making use of his cover. So you are still at a disadvantage, even against the fucking sheriff. That's how bad this is. Like, you're almost losing against the sheriff. I know it's just a one-off scenario, but like, I've already made my points previously. ADS? No ADS? No ADS past 30 meters? Like, why? And now you're putting your back to the only threat that's behind you. Wasting time. We are still wasting time. We just wasted so much time. For me, never plays like that. For me, does this. He paces back and forth between here and here, engaging in the maximum amount of fights possible. Sometimes he will not overswing here into multiple threats. Sometimes he will just sit here, kind of around this cover. He will swing this, kill anyone here, go back, flick towards main. So he's effectively engaging in 2 or 3 angle threats at controlled timings. This, sometimes this, rarely this, very rarely this, so I'm not even going to label it. Sometimes this, sometimes this, sometimes this. But usually he's going to have this guy peeking him. So let me just make the arrows more accurate, so you have an idea, a better idea. He's going to often just be like that. This is going to be like kind of his routing back and forth, pretty much, between this point and this point. And when he's here, he is pre-aiming this, obviously. It's kind of on angle here. He's not going to diverge from this very often. He really isn't, because both of these fights, this is like an optimal kind of fight pathing to take in a deathmatch, because on attack, this kind of thing is very common, right? This routing here, this routing line here, it's extremely common. This position here, extremely common. This peak here on defense, also extremely common. If you master this peak on defense, guess what? You're going to be getting aces, because the enemy will be powerless against you. If you get used to fighting an angle, even if it's in a deathmatch, it's going to translate into your competitive games. And in this case, killing players here as they're trying to swing you, it is literally the best fucking fight to practice. And obviously on attack here, this, again, great fucking position to like practice, you know, this piece of cover here, if I'm being precise. This piece of cover here, this little edge, you know, playing around that. Like, you need to do this shit, dude. You need to do this shit. And this is going to allow you to essentially peek into one spawn, second spawn, third spawn, right? Because there's like 3 spawns here. Fourth spawn, right? Wherever the fuck this spawn is, like here or something like that. But sometimes 5th spawn, right? Sometimes someone spawns in this area. Sometimes they spawn in this area somewhere. Sometimes they spawn here, right? So you're essentially, you know, constantly navigating your way around the most common spawns in this side of the map. And this obviously applies to C as well, which I already talked about. On B, it's a little bit worse, really, because, first of all, B is the less common site to play. So there's not much of a use in playing it, usually. But if you are going to play it, then, yeah, this kind of routing here is okay. It's not the worst routing, but I don't like it because how often do you actually like route like this? Like, how often do you take these fights here on attack if you're pushing B? How often do you actually take these fights here the way you take the fights on your defense? Or even on your attack, right? Like, if you're going to be this proactive in your competitive games, yes, you should be. But this really is up to you. Because, personally, what I do is, I actually don't play like this. I don't play like that at all. What I do is, I scale into this corner so that I can just pre-aim waterfall and do not get cleared from gravel. Anyone gravel will not be looking into this corner, so I can just pre-aim waterfall, kill anyone waterfall, flick back onto the guys retaking from gravel, right? And then I just get like 2 kills minimum this way. But this is not something you should be doing in a deathmatch. So this is like my main default play for pushing waterfall or gravel, right? If I'm pushing gravel, it's a bit more risky. I typically wouldn't do it. But if I have information on the enemies, then this position here will be very good. Because if you have information on the enemies, then you can hold this angle here, and the enemy will not clear you. And this is going to generate enormous fucking pressure onto the enemies if you kill them as they're pushing this, right? They're not going to clear you here because they're going to be looking towards B side. So again, I would not really play like that in a deathmatch. So personally, I kind of don't play B. And I don't think like players like Primi really play B as often either. I think a good way to play B actually would be to literally open up yourself to the maximum amount of angles. So you play aim labs on B, which is not that useful, but it's gonna be good warm-up. You literally just kind of route like this, back and forth between these 2 points, because this is gonna allow you to open up yourself to kind of the biggest amount of angles. You're gonna be exposed to Link, Heaven, CT, right? This area here. And you're gonna have a decent opportunity to isolate these angles. When you're here, you can isolate these angles, right? When you're here, these 2 angles get isolated. When you're here, you can isolate this angle and this angle. So it's like, it is pretty much aim labs, right? You have like 2 angles to worry about, but this can be good. This can be good practice. This can be good warm up, definitely. But just it's not really worth doing. Like I'm just gonna move on because it's not worth it. Playing B is not really worth it compared to playing A or C. And like, you're just wasting time. A waste of time, dude. Like, your practice could be so much more efficient. Yeah, like shit routing. Just terrible routing. Your movement is like still very predictable. You can crouch more against sheriffs. Like, there's nothing wrong with crouching against sheriffs because, but because they will have to adjust to you, and like as long as your head is moving quickly, like versus a sheriff, you have such an advantage with a vandal that as long as your head is moving quickly, whether it's horizontally or vertically, you're still going to obtain kind of pretty much the same kind of advantage. Either way, you know, arguably bigger of an advantage if your head is moving vertically, so you're crouching up and down. So against a sheriff, against a marshal, against an, I don't know, against an even like a ghost, like I don't know, you know, any guns that like one tap you, right? Or any guns that will one tap you or will deal enormous damage if you get one tapped by them. Guardian, right? Crouch against them. Crouch more against them. Actively, right? Actually practice that. So I actually want to take notes of these things right now. Just for you. Just for you. One sec. OBS. Why does this show? Like, fuck off. Alt F4, that's shit. Okay. Notepad. Slice. Stop rushing. Isolate. Isolate your angles. Apply a intentional follow-up technique onto extended or prolonged fights. Peek closer, peek from close. Peek from close. Reposition behind cover or onto nearby Ferrari peak. Peek from close, reposition behind cover, or onto nearby elevation, etc. etc. Crouch peek, etc. Now, this is for a follow-up. For when you're engaging in fights, yes, you know, crouch peek, you know, pretty obvious, right? But a crouch peek followed by a crouch peek, in theory, could be a valid follow-up. I wouldn't do that because, you know, like, you're going to be conditioning the enemy for them to anticipate the crouch peek, right? If you're going to be crouch peeking them more than once. So, I wouldn't crouch peek after a crouch peek, but a crouch peek can be a follow-up in a prolonged fight. If you haven't crouched peeked originally, right? Especially against the sheriff. Crouch more versus one-tap guns. Guns like sheriff, guardian, marshal, etc. When it's a 1v1, no, doesn't matter too much. What else was there? Pause before each peek to free yourself for the up, commit yourself, your cursor, and your for the right. Peak pause for 1 or 2 before each peak to prepare yourself. Mass protocol. Mass protocol. Move. M is for move. A is for... Let me zoom in actually. Let me zoom in. So it's easier to read. A is move, aim. S is stand still. S. Move, aim, stand still, shoot. You move. You don't micro. You don't aim while moving. You mostly, and you don't maximize your movement perpendicular to the enemy. Whenever you are not on, like when you get what's a better word for surprised? Thrown off guard? No. Whenever you get surprised by an enemy. You don't aim while moving, you don't use aim. You don't use the time. There's a better way to put it. You don't use the time you spend. You don't maximize your movement. You don't use the time you spend while moving to aim. You don't utilize the extra moving to aim. Micro adjust. I mean, even moving sounds in general, it's kind of the same thing actually. This kind of scenario. You don't necessarily want to only micro adjust while moving. You want to aim while moving, and then micro adjust, so that there's not a single. So that there is no. So that there is zero, or so that there is not a second you spend standing still on the enemy, and so that there is not a second wasted so there is what was I gonna say? And I need more coffee. You don't utilize the extra time moving gives you to aim, so that there is not a second you spend standing still on the enemy screen while you waste standing still on the enemy screen while you're trying to aim. You are trying to aim at them, and so that there is no time when I completely forgot what I was gonna say here. You don't utilize the extra time movement gives you to aim, so that there is no second you waste standing still on the enemy screen while you are trying to aim at them. You must stand still. You don't maximize your movement, perpendicular to the enemy whenever you are not on target. Like when you get surprised by an unexpected enemy, you do not. Your automatic reflex isn't to strafe, it's to shoot, even when there is no point in shooting, because you are not aimed on the target. Target con is necessary Oh no, it's just a friend asked me. No, not a friend, but someone who's been in a Discord server for a very long time, and he is still struggling in this video game after a very long time. So I'm kind of VOD reviewing him, and I am VOD reviewing his mechanics because he did not bother to clip which fucking VOD he wanted me to review. So I'm just reviewing the first thing, which is, yeah. Like, he has not considered that maybe he would need an input overlay so that I actually see his inputs. He has not considered that maybe I would want it to be a little bit more convenient. You know, maybe upload the specific VOD he wants me to review onto YouTube so that I can skip frame by frame. You know, the details don't matter, but like if he wanted me to review something specific, he should have given me something specific, right? So yeah, and here he gets peeked by the fucking Avengers squad, but I don't think there's anything you can do about that. Yeah, he's just wasting time. Like, I'm very nitpicky. No, it's not gonna be 5 hours. Like, it's already over. 3 minutes. So I'm very nitpicky when it comes to deathmatches because I feel like it's so easy to just like improve at a deathmatch at least. Like not in like the kills sense, but in like the how many fights you can take, how many good fights you can take that will be effective for your warm-up or training. Yeah, you can learn bad habits in DMs. That's why like my core kind of philosophy in deathmatch is you need to be playing deathmatch still with the intention to like apply the good concepts, right? So this guy, he just overswings. He just overswings everything. He is not playing like he would in competitive if he were to be clearing, if he were to be, like pushing an angle. He isn't like clearing the angles one by one. He's just swinging into multiple angles, and he's getting punished for it. He's getting punished for just completely rushing his shots. He's rushing his shots, he's rushing his peaks, he's not isolating the angles one by one, he's not slicing the pie. He is not routing in a way that is you know, going to give him the most engagements, he just holds angles and just waits for the deathmatch spawns. I've not seen players like Primi just hold an angle for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, hoping that a spawn happens in the direction that they're aiming. No, they move on. They go into the next likely spawn area. And they see, like, he takes no time to even pause. And pause, like, because what pausing also does is it throws off the timing for the enemies a bit, right? When the enemy hears you stomping, they're gonna very easily, like, know when to pre-fire you if they've played the game enough. So, like, the pause is kind of necessary in a lot of cases if you don't just want to get pre-fire one-tapped. And okay, again, his crouch peaks are kind of shit. There's a guy behind him. Again, second time he's making this mistake. He's turning his back to a very likely threat. He's turning his back to a very likely threat. Like, this is the second time. The second time he's done this exact same mistake in this deathmatch. How many times does he make this mistake in all his deathmatches, right? He literally ignores the threat. Like, he has ammo. He has ammo, right? He has ammo in his gun. 25 ammo. 18 ammo. Why are we pulling our knife out? Why are we not focusing on the next only threat? Like, his aim is okay. His cursor placement is okay. But there's just, like, so much technique lacking. There's so much technique lacking. Like, I even pulled up this fucking thing. I even had to pull up this fucking thing. For once. It's all about realistic fights, the concept. Yeah. Like, that too. You know, I'm just saying, like, that's exactly what I talked about when I was reviewing this earlier. Exactly what I said. I don't know how to turn this off. How do I turn this off? Shit. And that's exactly what I talked about. Is Primi is often just pacing back and forth in these angles that are going to be extremely common, even in, like, competitive. So he's gonna be playing in this area here. This is fine, right? This is fine and dandy. But what he's also gonna be doing is he's gonna be playing in this area here, because this area here is very common on attack and defense, right? Like, when you're taking a main, swinging this and mastering this angle here onto root is going to be goated. Like, you're gonna get aces from that if you've, like, repeated this like a million times in deathmatch. You know, and yeah, the enemy can only be in front of you. But instead, what this guy does, yeah, is he kind of just holds, right? He just kind of holds onto B main, and he just, like, doesn't do anything. Like, why not take tree? Like, at that point, you know, it's like there's the more time passes, the better it is for you to make, like, a different decision, right? Than just holding a main, right? It's gonna be better for you to, like, actually do something, you know, like, take tree, take this, you know, like, go there, you know. Yeah, like, this is not, like, a realistic fight to take in most cases, right? Like, at least not compared to, like, if you were to just fight this or fight that, right? Like, onto this or onto that or that, right? My favorite is Haven T-spawn fights, ultra highly realistic. Haven, hey, that's Fracture. Shut up! Don't look at that whiff. That was not a whiff. That I did not just whiff in a Valo plant. I'm not cooked. You are. You're my coach, so you're cooked. Haven T-spawn fight. No! This is serious. 20 people fighting in T-spawn in Haven. T-spawn. Terrorist spawn. This here? Ah, yeah. These are the most realistic fights. I love these, dude. Like, whenever I'm playing defense, when am I not in this area here? Like, when am I not in this area, right? Whenever I'm playing defense. Like, I'm in this area so often, in this exact area, so often, on defense, on Haven, like. And like, I basically need to make a playbook of that because it is so common. So I think what I'm gonna do when I'm defense. So I think this is gonna be like the objectively best decision to make from this position, right? Because you get the peek onto C site. So even if the enemies push garage, you still get a very easy like isolated fight onto the planter and onto any enemies that may not be suspecting you to be coming from the flank, right? So very valid playbook, right? Very valid, very fast flank. This flank is going to take roughly 5 seconds. Fastest flank in the game. Very clear scenario. But yeah, let's see. Did they like? Oh, it's some random guy. No, I want to see what this guy is. Very fancy word. Nobody used. I taught this guy the word Uber, and he is very grateful for me teaching him the word Uber. It's just a random fucking kid from Albania. What did I want to see? Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna end the stream now just so that I can like isolate it from my own gameplay. How do I end stream? Okay, this is how I end the stream. And I will be right back. Do not worry. Don't be scared. I will only be gone for a second.